Teach me, teach me, teach me. On your mark, get set, go.
Information is power. Centuries ago, the people with the information, they ruled. They were the kings and the queens. They were the monks, monastic orders. They would write the books and they would teach people to read. There's a Chinese proverb that has something to do with the knowledge in your head is the only thing that people can't take away from you. Said knowledge is so powerful. Economies throughout the world, insider trading info, not strictly legal, but still a lot of money.
This is called informal versus persuasive in terms of speeches. Now we're doing informal speeches, next is persuasive. There's actually not much difference. I would say not a lot. Anyway, there's not much difference between the two. Persuasive is trying to change an opinion, which is very interesting because in order to change your opinion, you basically have to do an informative speech and try and get someone to change their opinion on the subject. And informative speaking doesn't need persuasion because all you're trying to do is inform them. It relies on the knowledge that you know and trying to teach them about a subject.
Choosing a topic. You want to choose a topic that's not in your core class, so everybody doesn't know it. You got to consider if it's useful to your audience. So if I was going to take and give a speech to people at my church, I wouldn't want to go talk about turkey calling to people at my church because not all of them hunt. I would want to talk to them about religion and stuff that goes along with religion. You always want to think, what's in it for the audience? The audience is always going to think that. What's in this for me?
When you're preparing an informative speech, you want to make sure you gain and maintain the attention of your audience. Because if you don't have their attention, you're just going to have a bunch of bored audience members. You're not going to get your point across, and no one's going to learn anything from your speech. And along with that, you need to increase the understanding of your subject. The point of informative speech is not to stand up there and regurgitate everything that you research. It's to get everyone else to be able to know what you're talking about so that the next time they could go up and present that same project themselves. One thing about it is that you need to not assume when you're preparing your speech. Because if you don't assume that everyone in your audience knows something about it, if you assume your audience knows anything about the subject, you're going to be left not giving enough detail and not everyone's going to know what you're talking about.
You got to meet certain criteria in an informative speech. You got to meet the topic criteria. You got to know your audience's knowledge level. So you wouldn't want to walk in to a crowd that start talking in really big words that you learned out of the dictionary to people that are like kindergartners. You want to use words that they know. You got to go through some general requirements. You got to clearly inform your audience about what you're trying to inform them. Then you got to cite your sources. If you use sources, you got to cite them. Or else plagiarism, you can go to jail.
What are you in for? Plagiarism. Come here, boy. I don't see it happening.
Organization, you got to keep it organized. It's got to flow. You got to be a certain rhythm to your speech. Yeah. I hope that you learned from something from our informative speech on informative speaking.
Okie doke.
That is fun.